welcome to everyone. I am so happy to be doing this again after such a long time. I have been associated with Mr. Janaka and the entire association for quite some time now. I have a few YouTube videos, and I had also attended the conference in Delhi where I met with such amazing Sri Lankan teachers and we shared so many good practices. So it was a very enriching experience for me, and I am looking forward to the conference in Mumbai that's going to happen sometime in August, I think. I will be definitely attending that conference, and I urge everyone watching this video also to attend because it's going to be a lovely session where we exchange good practices and learn so much from each other. So please do try and attend. I will definitely be there. I was also supposed to be attending the conference in Sri Lanka that happened in May, but I couldn't. And I have heard such good reviews about it. I have learned that it was such a good success that I now feel I missed it. But I will be attending the next conference hopefully. So, again, that's something that I really look forward to. So, welcome again, and I hope you get to learn a lot from this lesson. And if there are any doubts, any questions, you can always ask Mr. Janaka or you can always post a comment and I'll reply. So, thank you very much for joining, and let's begin the session. I'm going to share my screen. Right. Okay, welcome. I think this is my lecture number 6, and today I will be speaking about transport. But before that, just a little bit about myself. I am an academic lecturer facilitator, and I am the extended learning coordinator and the IBTP biology teacher at DSB International School in Mumbai. And I have been strongly associated with STEM, and I am trying to incorporate STEM into our regular lesson plans. So this is something I really like doing. I like researching about it, and I enjoy making lesson plans that incorporate STEM. Okay, so this week, the theme for this week rather is transport and safety. And for 5 days of this week, we have divided this concept into different small parts. And every day, students will be learning about transport and safety, but through the play based method. And they will constantly be using their visual and sensory skills to learn the concepts. And obviously, there's going to be a lot of STEAM integration into the lesson. So on Monday, students will be learning about land transport, Tuesday, air, Wednesday, water, Thursday is going to be road safety, and Friday, again, there's going to be a small role play sort of a thing where students learn about how to safely enter and exit any vehicle. So these are broadly divided into small topics, and each topic will have an activity that you can incorporate to teach this concept. Right. On day one for land transport, now in one day for students to understand a lot about land transport is not possible. So we have very small learning goals and small objectives that we can try and cover in a day. So for this particular concept, the learning goal can be identify land transport vehicles such as car, bus, bike. That can be the broad learning goal, and the objectives can be that students should be able to recognize and name two or three land transport vehicles, and they should be able to describe where do they move. Do they move on the road? Do they move on a track? Where exactly do a certain land transport vehicle moves on? So that can be the broad objectives. And in order to achieve this, you can have a very fun activity called as land transport hunt. What you have to do is, it's a very simple activity. You will just need some toy vehicles, some sorting mats, or even posters. What you need to do is you can have flashcards of land vehicles. I'll show you in the image. Next slide. You can have small flashcards of land vehicles like car, bus, train, all of that, and you put it on a mat. So you have like a table or a mat, and you put each flashcard over there. And what you can do is you have a basket, and in that basket you put a lot of toys, not just vehicles, a lot of toys. And you ask children to pick one toy and to match it with the correct flashcard that you've put on the table. So you can have a specific image of a car or as a flashcard, but the toy that you will have in your basket, the car toy, will not be very similar. So students will have to think, oh, this looks like a car. Let me pick it from the basket. Let me put it on the table, which looks like a car. So they have to basically match. They have to hunt for the vehicle, toy vehicle, and they have to match it on the flashcard. And after they have done that, you ask them questions. Again, open ended questions. No fixed questions that are more theoretical. We are not looking at such questions. Open ended questions like, have you seen this vehicle? You can pick a toy and say, oh, this is a nice vehicle. Have you seen this vehicle anywhere? Today, when you were coming to school, did you spot this? What do you think this is? How did you come to school? Did you come by a bus or a car? So you can ask such open ended questions and try and start a discussion. If time permits, and if you have a higher age batch, you can also start with some very, very specific land vehicles like a fire truck or a bulldozer or an ambulance and those kind of things. But if you have a small age group, you can basically start with car, bus, train, and then you can work on, if your class has picked it up, then you can move on to more complicated land vehicles. So this is a very simple uh, hunt kind of an activity where students are moving around, they're putting their hands, they're taking out a vehicle, they're constantly using their sensory skills by holding the vehicles, matching it. So that's a good activity for teaching this concept. And like I said, if you see this image over here, this is a flashcard. So you can have a poster and you can cut it into different flashcards. And then you can have these toys in a basket and students will have to come, match, and put it. This was just one activity. Other than that, you get these boards. They are also very good, where you have these land transport boards where students have to take and fix it in the right spot. So this is again an excellent technique for students to learn land transport. If you want to incorporate math, because STEAM and STEM is all about math also, you can also have students uh, place the car based on the number. So you can just have like these small toy cars and you can have a chart with numbers and you can ask students to come and place it in the correct number. So that again is something you can do to add some kind of mathematics to it, which is again excellent. Depending on how big your classroom is, how small it is, how much content they already know about land transport, you can build on their knowledge by these activities. This again is a very nice poster you can use to show your children different types of land transport. So it's simple, not too complicated, doesn't require a lot of lesson planning, but it is good because it involves, like I said, movement. It involves sorting out toys. It can involve sorting out toys based on numbers, which is again math. You can probably, as a lesson break, you can probably give them a colored, you can give them a worksheet and ask them to color their favorite vehicle. That again becomes art. So this is a good activity involving a lot of strands of steel. At the end of day one, you can have a small checklist, and it should be that the students should be able to name at least two land vehicles. It can be as easy as a car and a bus, or if it's a higher age group, it, like I said, it can be an ambulance and a, say, tractor, and whether students have matched the toys to the correct flashcard. So these can be two simple checklists at the end of day one, and you're done with land transport. Moving on to day two, air transport. This again is a fun way to do it. What happens is air transport toys are not easily available. So we will learn this concept in a different way. But for that, a learning goal can be that students should be able to identify air transport vehicles, mostly aeroplane and a helicopter, and they should be able to name and describe air transport and understand that it flies in the sky. So children should be able to understand that land is on road, on flat surface, but air transport vehicles can also fly in sky. That should itself be a very surprising and a shocking thing for them. Like, you can have vehicles that fly in the sky without falling down. So like I said, you don't have a lot of toys of helicopter and aeroplane. So how can we learn this part? We can do it in a fun way by making them play the paper plane flying game. What we can do is we can first of all explain this concept. Like when kids come, you can say, okay, we're going to learn about a different transport. You show them images, either flashcards or images of airplanes and helicopters, and ask them, if have you ever seen this, what do they do, have you ever sat in an aeroplane, does it make sound, how is it different than the bus? Ask all these questions. And then after you have studied the theory a little bit, what activity do we do? The paper plane activity. It's very simple. All you have to do is give your children some kind of paper and you teach them how to make a paper plane. So, a good thing would be, before teaching them, you ask them, if I give you, you can show them a paper. If I give you one paper, do you think you can make this paper into a plane? And they'll be like, no, 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 how? Let them try their hands a little bit on making a paper plane. And after you've done that, then maybe you can teach them how to make a paper plane. Of course, you should be knowing that first, but you can then teach them how to make a paper plane. And once each student has made their own paper plane, you ask them to decorate it with color pencils and markers and just let them be creative. And then once that is done, you ask them to try and fly. And you can have a competition if you want, to see which paper plane flies the most or the furthest. Or you can simply just see whether your paper plane is flying or not. And if it is not flying, ask them to figure out, why is it not flying? How can I change it? What can I change to make sure it flies? So this will be a good activity where students are actively involved in making a transport vehicle. And you don't need a lot, just some papers, markers. If you have toy planes and helicopters, that's excellent. Otherwise, just an image or a flashcard will also do. Something like this. This is, of course, a toy that you can show your kids over here. And say these are land vehicles and these are air transport. And if you see, they are different in size, and you can ask them to compare that this car over here is so small, but the aeroplane over here is so big. So they can compare it with the land vehicles that they study. This is how they can make paper planes, and then they can fly it, decorate it. This is another way of making paper planes using candy sticks. Again, very easy, not nothing much, just some candy sticks, glue, and markers. And of course, this is a hot air balloon, which is not a form of air transport, but it also goes up in the air. So if your students already know the concept of aeroplanes and helicopter, you can move ahead and teach them about hot air balloons and how do they work. So that activity, or any of these activities rather that I mentioned, will have some form of engineering, because they're making a plane, they're folding it, they're making sure the margins are tightly sealed, packed, all of that. They're obviously learning about science, because when you ask them to throw, you can literally ask them, why is it moving ahead, why is it not falling immediately? Like if I throw this paper, if I throw a plain paper, it will immediately fall. But if I throw a plane, it will not fall, it will move a little. So why is it moving? Motor skills, of course, they're using their hands and all. Spatial awareness, how far is it going? The understanding of space, distance, is something you can connect to with this activity. A simple checklist can be that students should be able to name one or two air vehicles, again, just like your land, and they should be able to make and fly a paper plane. Simple. Day three, water transport again. This again is a unique, we will have a unique way of studying this concept, but our goal again remains the same. Students should be able to understand which kind of transport is for water, like a boat or a ship. They should be able to understand, recognize, identify water vehicles, and they should be able to understand that they float in water. How, where air transport we studied, it moves in the air. Water transport on water. How do they float on water? And you can have a very nice activity to teach this concept, which is sink or float. Now, obviously, students will have a lot of questions like, why does a boat not sink? There are so many people on a boat. Why doesn't it go down? So, what is the concept behind it? You can teach them that. And there is an excellent way to do it by the sink or float activity boat edition. Obviously, you begin the same way. You show students some images or toys of boats and ships, and then you set up a tub of water. And you can give children some toy boats or other small objects. And you ask them to guess whether the object will float or sink. And they might go wrong in the first few times, but eventually they will understand the concept as to which objects sink and which float. We don't necessarily have to explain them the science about that. If they're a very young batch, we don't necessarily have to teach them the whole buoyancy and such important concepts. No, we just let them play and understand that some things float, some things sink. So this will be a good way to understand water transport, and you don't need a lot of materials, a plastic tub, some water, toy boats if you have. You can even ask students to make paper boats, and I will show you that in the next image. Look at this. Here, a child has made a paper boat and they're coloring it. So you can ask them to do that. This over here, this class has gone a step ahead and they've made their own boats using some plastic cans and some candy sticks, and they have decorated it and they've made their own boats again. This might not be possible all the time, but this certainly yes. And then this is what they do: you have a tub of water, you give them some objects, and you ask them to identify whether it will sink or float. This again, if you have a very high level class, you can have different types of water transport. Like you can have a small boat, you can have a yacht, you can have a big ship, you can have a navy ship. You can elaborate more on that if your students are of a little high grade. But if they are usually young, then these two activities should be okay. Again, like I said, you talk to them about the basics of floating and sinking, not going too much into detail. And math can be maybe counting boats or maybe counting how many objects have sunk and how many are floating. So counting again is a good thing for maths, and you can use that. Checklist at the end of day 3, simple. They should be they should have been able to identify whether it's a boat or a ship, or rather that it's one of them, that okay, this is a water transport vehicle. And they should have tested objects in water. For a Thursday, road safety rules. Now we have done the basics of air transport, water, and land, and now we move on to road safety rule. Now, this is very, very important for kids, and there are a lot of ways in which you can do that. But the goal should be that students should know basic road safety rules, and they should understand when to stop, when to look, and when to cross safely. And they should be able to identify what are traffic signals, what are they for, what is a zebra crossing, and what is it for. This is a very, very important life skill that students should learn. And there are different ways of doing it, but an excellent way of doing it is to have the traffic light game. uh, what you can do is, when you start this concept of safety and all, a lot of schools take kids to a traffic park. Like in Bombay, we have a very nice traffic park in Kulaba, where they actually go, and then there are signals, and then there are traffic policemen, and then they're guided, and it's a full visit. So you can either do that, or if you don't have that near your area, you can set up a toy traffic signal game in your school. I'll show you how it looks like. Something like maybe this, or something like this, or something like this. So you have a signal, and you have these cars. Okay, you can have actual cars. See, these are actual cars. And you probably put you tell them that okay, the red light is on. What do we do? The car will stop moving. You have zebra crossing over here. You tell the child, what is a zebra crossing for? Are you supposed to walk on the zebra crossing? So here, zebra crossing. So you can have maybe a figurine over here walking, and then you can show them or tell them what will happen if you walk when the signal is green. And if the car doesn't stop, what are you supposed to do? So you can teach them these basic skills by either having a setup like this, or you can take them to a traffic park. There are also some amazing posters that are available that you can use to teach your kids about road safety. Like, look at this one. I really found this very useful. Like, think, stop, cross. So you think which side of the road you want to go to. You stop till the cars stop moving, and then you cross when it's safe. So this is a good way, and You can discuss signals and safety walking within the group. You can tell them what will happen. And like you see, the materials over here, you will need some black uh, paper, maybe some white ink for the zebra crossing, some toy cars, and of course, you will need to make a signal. This is an activity that will require a lot of resources, but again, this is a life skill that we're teaching kids, and it's important that we simulate a real environment. Again, traffic lights, technology, road design basics is engineering, how the roads are made, how are they connected, if you want to go to a right, how is a turn, how is a road design. Those basics you can speak to them if you have a higher age batch. And listening to the sound of cars, following rules, these are again skills that the kids need to know. That was for day 4. And a simple checklist can be they should be able to name the traffic lights, what stands for what, and they should know that you should cross the roads safely. For your last day on a Friday or day 5, you can have a nice game where students can understand how to safely enter and exit vehicles. And your objectives can be very simple of when you enter a car, you wear a seat belt or you hold each other's hand. When you're seated in a car, you don't move. These basic safety rules can be something that can be taught on this day. So there's a very nice thing where what you do is I'm going to show you the image, something like this. You set up your classroom with small chairs and you make this like a bus, and you tell your children or your class that now you have to enter this bus. How will you enter the bus? Are you all going to enter together? Are you going to enter one by one? Are you going to stand in a line first? So they will decide what to do, what not to do. And then when they decide, okay, they're going to enter like that, you say, okay, you've entered the bus. The moment you enter the bus, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to find a seat and sit. The moment you find a seat and sit, what are you supposed to check? If there are safety belts, so you have to put your safety belts. After you put your safety belts, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to move right and left? Are you supposed to put your hand outside? Teach them these things. Am I supposed to get up when the bus is moving? When my stop comes, what am I supposed to do? Remove the seat belt, get up, and leave the bus. So, this is a very simple activity. All you need to do is set up some chairs, and you can have a belt arrangement like that. And you can ask your children or your class to play this game. It's a role play kind of thing. And you can also tell them what to do if they're unsafe or they feel lost. Are they supposed to speak to the conductor, to the driver? You can have such a role play and you can teach them about safety rules. Again, a lot about seat belts, role play, safety badges, and they will understand empathy, awareness. They will understand how to become more aware, how to make sure their surroundings are safe, what to do if you feel unsafe in an environment. You can teach them basic um, self and environment awareness skills. A simple checklist can be that each one should have acted out a safety right. We have to make sure everyone is involved, and at the end of this day, they should know one or two safety habits like not entering together, entering one by one is a safety habit. Sitting down, not standing in a moving bus is another safety habit. Putting your seat belts, another safety habit. Not getting up when the car is moving, not putting your hands out, another safety habit. So this was it for this is a checklist at the end of day 5, sorry, and this was it for this entire theme. But finally, these are my final thoughts. This is a learning activity, not a memorization task. We are not expecting students to memorize ship, boat, helicopter. We are not. That's not our goal. Our goal is for them to understand the difference, understand the three types of transport, be actively engaged, understand some basic rules of safety when traveling, creatively express their thoughts, what they think about transport. And also, as teachers, we should pause, reflect, and we can adjust, or rather, we should adjust the activity based on the student response and understanding. If you think a class is picking up things very fast, move ahead. Otherwise, they'll get bored. If you think a class is slow, not understanding, you pause. You maybe carry out the air activity for 2 days. So, this was just a layout. You don't have to stick to it. You will have to modify it based on your class. And finally, as teachers, our goal is always to make lesson interactive, meaningful and age appropriate. And you can use this presentation as a template, work on it, add more, decrease the content if you think it's too much. You can obviously move around it and cater it to your classroom and thoughts. Because if we don't do that, then it becomes very monotonous, it becomes boring, and then children are just bored. So these were my final thoughts on this. If you have anything, you can obviously let me know. I am obviously going to be looking forward to the next session, and yeah, that's it. I hope you liked it. I hope there was a lot of learning from this, and if there's anything, I'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you very much.
Fly so high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.